What's up YouTube? Just a quick intro. This video turned out to be more of a vlog than I intended, but the general structure is I'm going to be running 3 different projects on my old computers and then running them again on the iMac Pro. And I'll take you sort of through the process of what's involved in making these videos and what's all going on behind the scenes. And we'll see the difference in performance there. And I'm filming this after I've done all the benchmark testing. So my overall thoughts, just off the bat right now, I'm kind of disappointed. You'll be able to see why. It could be the software. Maybe motion isn't optimized for the kind of projects I'm trying to throw at it. I don't know if it's my fault. Maybe I'm just asking too much of the computer, or if it should be able to handle this and it can't really. Just giving you a heads up. Hopefully you'll find the rest of the video informative and see what you think. So this is Apple Motion. This is an older version because I'm working on an older computer. This is the 2006 Mac Pro, and this is what I've been using as my workhorse right up until about 2014 when I got my laptop. And since I got my MacBook Pro, that's what I've been using to make all my videos. But up until about 2014, this was my main workhorse computer, and I've made a lot of videos with it. But the problem with it is that nothing ever plays back in real time. So this is Titanic Metaly. This is one of the bigger projects I've done that nobody watched. It's a project that's supposed to be in 60 frames per second. But once the effects start going in, you can see that it chugs down to like 7 frames per second. And this is an audio-centric project, which means that you need to make sure that all the effects happen on the beat. And this is clearly lagging behind. I mean, there's particle effects going on. There's bloom and all kinds of filters. And it's not playing back in real time. And the biggest issue with this is that when you are working with an audio project, you need to make sure all the keyframes line up on the beats. And with this, I mean, I have to go back into here. So what I have been doing in the past is you zoom in really close and you just kind of listen for it, for whatever the beat is. So if I put it right on here, it should be right on the beat that I want to emphasize. So right on the and you just gotta go in and meticulously check each individual marker. Yeah, that sounds like it's about on the snare. And so this one should also land on a snare. That one's a little bit off. So I mean, you see what I mean? I can't look at it and see that it's gonna be right. I have to trust my ears and put these markers down. You can see how many markers there are. This is ridiculous. There's a whole bunch of markers here. There's a ton of markers over here. What's this going on? Oh, the heartbeat. So the heartbeat, those are all keyframe. I can't just watch it back and make sure it works. So if we just play this, it's still getting like 5 frames per second. So this one, you can see it's fluctuating on every single beat. Playing back at 14 frames per second. There's a part where they do a little guitar harmonic, and that's supposed to be when it shifts from bulging up and down to static shaking. And if you can see it, it's lagging behind by like a beat or so, but watching back on it, that's gonna give you issues. Unless you bounce everything out, and bouncing this out, it's gonna take hours. All these markers, they're all there to let me know where I need to put my effects. So that's how I've been working with this program for probably about 5 years or so. So let's open up one of my music videos. Let's do Laid to Waste. All right, so as you can see, here's my videos. This is not a video editing program, but it's a program that I took a class for, so I know how to use it. And it also allows me to do custom animations, which is important when you're doing a sing-along music video. So this project is in 30 frames per second. It's playing back around 25. So as soon as the animation starts, it drops down to like 13 frames per second. And again, this is a very audio-centric project. If it's a sing-along, the thing needs to be on the words right exactly when I say them. And as soon as it starts chugging along, there's no way you can actually watch it and make sure that the reference is correct. So, back to the markers. Every single syllable, there's a marker. Super tedious. I just have to trust that it's gonna work out. This marker, I would listen to the audio, figure out where it says if, what frame. So right there is right where I emphasize the if. Okay, now, next syllable, if there, so there. Every single syllable has its own marker. And here's all the different lines. There's all the different markers going through the entire song. Let's just zoom out so you can see how ridiculous it gets. So that's just the lyrics, and then all the video files, and even they have a bunch of markers on them so that I can emphasize the fast motion and slow motion. So I mean, that's just a little bit of insight onto some of the process of making these videos. But as far as just the performance of it, so when you're making meticulous edits, you just saw how bad it chugged when you just hit play. Yeah, we're getting a solid 13 frames per second. You can't work like that. All right, so when I was working on my laptop, this is a project that I did for my band. So I got the 2014 MacBook Pro with Retina. It's a 15-inch, it's all loaded up. And so this has been my workhorse computer for the last 3.5 years now. And it's been doing really well, except for when I want to do motion graphics. So my instructions were make a time-lapse video of the artwork being made and then make some words going around. So since the background's pretty static, I wanted to make the words really exciting so that way it's still engaging. A lot of the lyric videos, they got all kinds of stuff move around. But for us, we didn't really have a whole lot of assets to be able to use. So I had to get really creative. So as you can see, all these words, they're all on their own separate layers. If you scroll down, here's all the different layers for each word. And as you scroll up, you can see how many different things there are going on. So this is 60 frames per second. When you play it back, they're about 4 frames per second playback. So as you can see, I got all kinds of markers here. So there's actually a separate layer over here with all the lyrics. And I use this for all my markers on this one layer. That's my reference for the animations that I put in. When I edit this, I have no idea what's going on as far as what the video is going to look like. I just kind of have to trust what's going to output. There's workarounds to the performance of the computer. It's just a major pain in the ass. When you do finally bounce it out and you get to see the final product as it's supposed to be, this is the only way you can see it actually running in real time, is when you bounce it out. And this thing takes like 6 hours to bounce down, something ridiculous. But now you can see it runs really smooth. But as a result of not being able to see the playback as I'm editing, a lot of the animations are a little too quick, and there's a lot of things happening all at once. I think it kind of adds to the chaos of the song, but a lot of little things I would have changed were I to see this during editing. It looks really good once it's balanced and I can see what's going on, but I'm hoping that the iMac Pro will allow me to work in the program and be able to see what's going on. I guess it's 3D animation. We'll see how that's handled with the iMac Pro. Alright, so I'm back with the iMac Pro. Let's run all those videos and see how they compare. So first up is Titanic Metaly. So this project is essentially a bunch of art layers. It's just a bunch of album artwork that I threw together and animated along with the music. So already the workspace is much bigger than I'm used to working with, and that's awesome. I know there's monitors out there that are even bigger than this one. For me personally, this is a very big step up. So this project is actually in 720p at 60 frames per second. So right now it's actually running about 20 frames per second. But it seems to be on time with all the cues. Right now it's running up 40. Okay, you see these particle effects right there. Those particle effects on my last computer just completely crippled it. It could not play that in real time to save its own life. But right here, it seemed to not even care about them. So the frame rate, about 40. Goes down to about 30 frames per second. But it doesn't hang up like it used to. All of the cues are lining up where they need to be in the music. So even though it's not playing at its full frame rate, it's playing on time. Having the ability to view this in real time that's awesome. That's totally awesome. Let's skip to the middle and see if it can catch up with that real quick. So it's still hovering about 30 frames per second. So these eyes are glowing right on the beat, which is exactly what it needs to be doing. Awesome. So for this bit, there's a bunch of flame particle effects, and my last computer could not handle it at all. I just put the markers in there, I put the effects in there, and then I turned them off immediately. I just trusted that they were gonna look all right. So let's see what it can handle with this. So it's actually hovering around 30 frames per second, and now it's going down. So between 20 and 40, it's kind of bouncing around. So you see all these flames going on everywhere. But they still look like they're on time. None of this is pre-rendered. That's probably really important to point out. This is all playing live, and this is just the raw power of the computer processing all this animation and effects and stuff going on. Oh, it's chugging right there. Okay, so I did notice it was lagging kind of behind in that transition part right here. This right here is the album artwork itself, and then all of these are the fire effects. So that's what's choking it, and then when this flame comes in, this guy right here, that's what kind of kills it. It's doing better. Now that I've gone through it a couple times, it's starting to kind of render itself in. So when I'm scrolling through this just real quick, it's actually pretty cool to see how fast it'll move through it. All right, let's check out the next video. So this is my Lamb of God cover. This is 1080p at 30 frames per second. Let's see where it's at, what it'll do if we just play it off the bat. So if you're paying attention to this, you can see the donut is actually landing on the syllables as I'm saying them, which is really important because it's a sing-along. You need to be able to sing along with it. We're getting 29 frames per second, dropping a couple frames here and there, but as I'm editing, I wouldn't care about that. Maybe a more professional editor would care about that kind of performance, but considering what I've come from and what I've learned to deal with, this is a major step up. Hopefully this computer will be able to handle all my projects moving forward from here, but I do remember when I was editing this, I could not play it back in real time at all. So if we just pick a random spot in the video. So it started about 4 frames per second and quickly jumped up to 20, and now it's hovering around 29. Okay, so same thing there. As soon as you hit play, it'll read 4 frames per second, and then it'll jump up to 17, and then 20, then 25, and it'll sort of catch up with itself. I guess you have to account for a couple seconds of pre-roll before you are analyzing the frames that you want to actually make sure are correct. So here's all the video layers. So there's actually multiple layers of video underneath. I know motion is not meant for video editing, but that's what I dealt with because it's what I knew how to use. And it was kind of nice to have everything in one project as opposed to animating and motion and then bouncing that to Final Cut Pro. Although that's probably what I'm going to be doing from here moving forward, now that I learned how to use Final Cut Pro. So not a whole lot of crazy stuff going on in here. It's not perfect, but it's definitely workable. But now let's go to the next project and see how it handles that, because I think it's gonna choke on that. All right, so we got our project loaded up. So this project, it's 1080p at 60 frames per second. My laptop, it plays about 4 frames per second. Roughly, right now it's at 7 frames per second. Yeah, back to 4 frames per second. Alright, so let me explain what's going on with this. Now granted, there's a lot of stuff going on with this. So all these little layers right here, these are all the different words and how they're layered in the project. These are all the markers that they need to land on. And then down here, this might be what's tripping it up as well. All the videos, these are the full length videos. I think there's like 4 hours of footage that I'm condensing in a time lapse of about 3 minutes. So let's turn that off. So right now it's just focusing on the 3D text and the animation. So it's 3D text, it's got environment lighting on it. It's only one material as far as the material of the objects. It's got 2 different finishes on it. It's got a brushed and an enamel. It's got a glow behind it. It's got a bit of a purple glow to match the logo of the band. So there's definitely a lot of layers being moved around really quickly. It's a very taxing project. So if I wanted to make another project like this, I would have to resort to using these markers again. So there's a lot of words going on. The singer's talking really fast. For each one of the words, they're all customly animated. All the motions are manually implemented. All the motion blur, that's all manually hand entered. So maybe there's just too many parameters that the program has to keep track of, or maybe it's just the animating of the 3D text. It's too much to render this. So I'm not really sure where the bottleneck is in this project. Maybe it's just motion isn't optimized. I don't know how to check. Let's try deleting that video. Okay, so we deleted all the video out of the project, and now we're getting about 10 frames per second, which is much more workable, but it's still kind of disappointing. It's actually somewhat watchable at that point, but it's still not lining up exactly to the beat like it really needs to. Well, I don't know what else to do with this. That should give you some insight on how the iMac Pro handles this kind of text animation as far as all these 3D words flying around. But it does do better than my last workstations. We'll see if I'll have to learn how to utilize other methods of creating this kind of content, or if I just have to continue my workflow practices from before. But anyway, that gives you an idea of what the iMac Pro is capable of. Let me know if there's anything else you want me to try out and make a new video for. But in the meantime, that's where it's at. So hopefully you found this informative. Until next time.